Sarah, Daniel breathed. "I'm falling in love with you too," she whispered, "and it terrifies me." He cupped her face gently. "Why?" "Because what if you wake up one day and realize I'm still just the waitress who returned your wallet? What if this is all some fairy tale that ends when reality sets in?" Daniel leaned his forehead against hers. "You were never just a waitress. You were always the woman who showed a broken man what integrity looks like, the woman who chose right over easy, the woman who sees the best in people even when they show her their worst." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, Sarah was crying and smiling at the same time. 3 years later, Sarah stood in front of the learning center that bore her mother's name, addressing a room full of students who had just completed their first semester. Daniel stood at the back, watching with pride as she spoke about second chances and never giving up on dreams. After the ceremony, a young woman approached Sarah nervously. "Miss Mitchell, I just wanted to thank you. I'm a single mom working 2 jobs. Without this program, I never could have afforded college. You changed my life." Sarah hugged her tightly, remembering a version of herself from not so long ago. "You changed your own life. You just needed someone to believe it was possible." As the woman walked away, Daniel came up beside Sarah and took her hand. "Ready to go home?" Sarah looked at the simple engagement ring on her finger, still not quite believing this was her life. Ready. They walked to the car together, and Sarah paused to look back at the building one more time. A homeless man sat on the bench outside, and without thinking, Sarah walked over and handed him the $20 from her purse. "God bless you," the man said quietly. As they drove away, Daniel glanced at her with amusement. "You know you're wealthy now, right? You don't have to give away your cash anymore." Sarah smiled. "That's exactly why I have to." That night, lying in bed in the home they now shared, Daniel pulled Sarah close. "Do you ever think about that day at the diner? What would have happened if you'd kept the wallet?" "Every day," Sarah admitted. "My whole life would be different." "Mine too," Daniel said. "I'd probably still be that angry, bitter man. You didn't just return my wallet that day. You returned something much more valuable." "What's that?" "My faith in humanity. My purpose, myself." He kissed her forehead. "You saved me, Sarah Mitchell." "No," Sarah said softly. "We saved each other." 1 year later, Sarah and Daniel stood together at the opening of their 10th Community Learning Center. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was covered by local news, and a reporter asked Sarah what message she had for people struggling to make ends meet. Sarah thought about the exhausted waitress she used to be, the impossible choices, the crushing weight of poverty. Then she looked at Daniel, at the life they had built together, at the hundreds of people they had helped. "Never compromise your integrity," she said firmly, "even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because the good we do in this world has a way of coming back to us when we least expect it. Sometimes it comes back as money or opportunity. Sometimes it comes back as love. But it always comes back, always." The reporter smiled. "That's beautiful. Any final thoughts?" Sarah looked directly into the camera. "If you're out there right now, working multiple jobs, barely surviving, holding on to your values, even though it would be easier to let them go, I see you. I was you. And I'm here to tell you that your integrity is worth more than any amount of money. Hold on to it, because the right person will see it, and it will change everything." As the cameras turned off and the crowd dispersed, an elderly woman approached Sarah with tears in her eyes. 20 years ago, I found a wallet with $3,000 in it. I was homeless, starving. I returned it anyway because my mama taught me right from wrong. She squeezed Sarah's hand. That man gave me a job. I worked for him for 15 years, put my kids through college. My grandson just graduated from your learning center. She smiled through her tears. You're right, dear. The good always comes back. Sarah hugged her tightly, her own tears falling. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for doing what was right. That evening, Sarah and Daniel sat on their porch watching the sunset. Sarah's hand rested on her slightly swollen belly, their first child growing inside her. "What are you thinking about?" Daniel asked. "I'm thinking about how one choice changed everything," Sarah said. "One moment of choosing right over easy. And now look at us." Daniel pulled her close. "I love you. For exactly who you are. For the choices you make. For the woman who would still return a wallet full of cash, even though she doesn't need the money anymore. Always," Sarah promised, because it was never about the money. It was about being able to look at myself in the mirror, about honoring my mother's memory, about believing that we're more than our circumstances. They sat in comfortable silence as the sun dipped below the horizon, two people from different worlds who had found each other through an act of simple kindness. Proof that integrity matters, that goodness is rewarded, that sometimes the smallest choices create the biggest ripples. And somewhere in the city, a waitress counted her tips after a long shift, found a forgotten wallet under a table, and stood at a crossroads. In her hands, she held more than money. She held a choice that would echo through time, touching lives in ways she could never imagine. What would you do? Would you return the wallet knowing it could cost you everything? Or would you keep it reasoning that survival matters more than integrity? The choice seems simple until you're the one standing there, exhausted and broke, holding someone else's fortune in your trembling hands. What would you choose? Tell us in the comments below, because your answer might reveal more about your future than you realize. Remember, the good we do always finds its way back to us, sometimes in ways we never expected, sometimes with someone we never saw coming, but always, always when we need it most.